Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fearless podcast with your host, Shannon D. Palma. Also, hello and shout out to my Facebook group where I'm going to be publishing this as well. If you'd like to hang out on my Facebook group, I do a couple extra live bonuses there every week. I also like to throw in freebie things in there. There's also like live Q&As. Head to facebook.com/debt-free female entrepreneurs. If becoming debt-free is on your 2026 list and you are an entrepreneur or you're in an entrepreneur marriage, that is the place to hang out this year. It's going to be the hottest, most bumping new place of 2026. All right, everybody, welcome to this episode where I am talking about why high earning women stay in $30,000 to $80,000 of debt, even when the business is working and they're bringing home lots of cash. Now, I say that because I want to let you know if you're listening to this and that's you, you are absolutely not alone. This is all of my clients. All of my clients are these like badass female entrepreneurs making a whole bunch of money and in a whole bunch of debt, and they can't understand why they can't get out of it. Okay. So if your business is working, your income looks good, but you're still carrying anywhere from 30,000, 50,000, maybe even upwards to 80 to $100,000 of debt, high interest debt. Okay. So that's anything that's usually credit cards, loans, things like that. I don't count student loans in this category and I don't count mortgages in that category. So it's high interest debt. This episode is for you. I want you to know you're not irresponsible. You're not bad with money. It's not because you don't care. It's just because you're playing a completely different financial game. So you are also most likely to be bringing in anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 months, you little badass. You maybe even higher than that. You probably have some months, $30,000, $50,000 months. You invest in coaching, support, growth, right? You have people in your home, maybe even helping you take care of your kids. You have a cleaning lady. You have support in your home or maybe support in your business. Maybe you have virtual assistant, you have a team, right? Typically, you're not someone to shy away from support, okay, or coaching. So you have that happening. Typically, a mom, your kids could be younger or maybe even getting now into like 10-year-old phase and stuff. But typically, you're a mom and your kids tend to be younger, but of course, you're a mom. Welcome. Any age is welcome. And you're the financial leader in your household, or at least for your finances. So maybe you manage the money for your whole household, or you at least manage your own personal money and the business's money. And then you and your husband may keep separate accounts. This episode is for you. So if all of that matches you and you have the debt, but you feel like the debt is not moving, I'm going to give you three things today that are going to show you why the debt isn't moving. Okay. So the first thing we're going to break down is the belief that you're currently having about your income. So I know this belief very well because I used to follow this belief and it kept me in debt for 2 years. Okay. So the belief that because you have inconsistent income, you can't pay off debt and you can't save money. I find this belief so funny and so tricky and so sneaky, right? Because what you end up doing is thinking that once you get to more stable income, that's when you will be able to pay off debt and save money. Let's think about this for a second. As I'm recording this, I live in the United States. A good amount of my clients live within the United States, but I also have international clients. Anyways, stick with me for this example. In the United States, we believe that the number one way to create wealth in this country is to start a business. The richest people in this country are what? Business owners. How do the people who have amassed the most wealth in this country do that? With inconsistent income. How could they do that? They have inconsistent income. How could you build wealth? How could you become the richest person in this country with inconsistent income? It's because it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. How would anybody in the world in this country be able to start a business and save money and pay off debt if you start a business and you can't save money and you can't pay off debt? How would that ever be able to happen? Right? Why? No, the question really, sorry, not that, is why would anybody else ever want to start a business if all it means is you have inconsistent income, which means you can't build wealth? The number one way to build wealth in this country is to start a business. Okay. A business is the thing that can help you attain the most wealth, become the richest person in your family is through a business. So the belief that I see and how I see it play out is I have inconsistent income. I can't pay off debt. I can't budget. I have inconsistent income. I can't manage my money. I have inconsistent income. And I call that, I say, wait a second. Name me one of the people that you think is one of the richest people in this country right now. Do they work a 9 to 5 with a consistent paycheck? No, they don't. Even they have inconsistent income. Can you believe it? So, business owners in America, it is the number one way to build wealth. So, your belief, sorry, it's not right. It's not true. It's an absolute lie. It's a lie. So here's what I say to you. All I'm trying to do is to poke fun and tease at the idea that you have this belief while it's not true for a majority of people in America who own businesses. Because if it just didn't work that way, they wouldn't be the richest people in America. If you weren't able to obtain wealth with a small business, they wouldn't be the richest people in America. They would be like on the poorest people in America, right? But it's absolutely not true. You can pay off debt. You can save money. It's actually the number one way to pay off debt and save money and build wealth and build generational wealth is to start a business. Okay. So hope I absolutely blew your freaking mind with that, because what I'm trying to do is to poke at that belief that has kept you in debt for a very long time as a business owner, and poke at that belief that you haven't built wealth as a business owner. Side note, I like to put in here. I do believe that more people in the next coming years will become entrepreneurs, and there will be people with fluctuating income. There will be people who have contracted income. There will be people who don't know exactly every single month how much money they're going to get. I do believe that could be the future for our economy. And those people are going to have to learn how to budget on a fluctuating income. And most of us are going to be budgeting on a fluctuating income and managing our money on a fluctuating income. So it is the way that I see the future going, which means that we need to get on top of it today. All right. Part 2, your infrastructure, or what I call your bucket. Your bucket is broken. Okay. So when I see these high earning women come to me, still stuck in this amount of debt, and they have tried something. Okay. Like most of the women that are coming to work with me have tried using a spreadsheet, tried using money apps. They have tried. These women are smart. They are ambitious. They are not like bad with numbers and irresponsible. Like I don't see my clients doing any of those things that you would think, like spending irresponsibly. Like all of it is responsible debt. All of it could have been a part of building a business. And they are trying in several ways to make the debt go down. Here's where I see the bucket come in. Okay, the bucket I'm going to talk about. So the bucket I'm talking about is basically, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get out of the sun over here, is that when I see this scenario happening, okay, so you can't manage your money because of inconsistent income. And then what you try to do is your business is making money and it's making a good amount of money, right? And I think of it this way. You have a bucket, you're pouring water into it, right? But there's a hole in the bucket and it's leaking money. So you think, I just need to make more money. So you pour more water into the bucket. And what does the bucket continue to do? It continues to leak. It's the same way. You're trying to put more money, right, into a leaky bucket. So the leaky bucket really is that you don't have an infrastructure for your money right now. You don't have a way where you're managing money, making decisions, or having containers for your money. You don't know how to hold on to money, right? And because of that, you think the solution is to pour more water into this, right? It's put more money into the bucket. That bucket's broken, babe. The bucket needs to be fixed because the bucket will continue to leak money no matter how much you pour that water into it. You can keep putting more. You can hit, $100,000 a month in your business and still continue to leak that money and still continue to be in debt. because what you don't have is the container. So it's like you're trying to fix the wrong problem. Maybe you're trying to fix a problem with the wrong solution, right? You're trying to put more water into a bucket when all you need to do is just fix the hole in the bucket, right? For you, it's more of a like, you just need a bucket. You need a system for how to manage your money, for how to pay off debt, and for how to save money. But instead, you're trying to go to the solution of, I'll just make more money and I'll pour more water into this bucket, but it will still leak out no matter how much you try. That's why your debt hasn't moved. That's why you can't save any money, because you don't have an infrastructure built there that will actually be able to pay off debt and save money. Now, maybe you are trying some things, but if they're not working, get rid of them. If they're not working, you need to come to my masterclass that I'm hosting on January 21st, where I am showing breadwinning mom entrepreneurs how to pay off $50,000 in 2026. And I will show you what a bucket and a money infrastructure looks like that actually will help you pay off debt and save money. So this leads me to part 3, where I'm going to talk about my story of how I paid off $25,000 as someone with fluctuating income, as someone who was a brand new mom. I was postpartum. And then I actually got pregnant again at 7 months postpartum. So I was pregnant postpartum and had 2 babies in 2 years. And I paid off $25,000 of credit card debt and saved 6 months of personal expenses and 6 months of business expenses. What this story is really about, I don't need to tell you the whole story, but what I really just need you to know is that I was in a time where I had fluctuating income, right? I was in a time where I was like maxed out, like physically, emotionally, energy, right? Like I had a little baby and then I became quickly pregnant again. And so this was not an ideal time to pay off debt or save money, not at all. My revenue was starting to tank because I was postpartum and I didn't have anything set up. And this was when I built the system that I'm going to be teaching in the masterclass. This was when I built the infrastructure. This is when I created the bucket, because I said, I'm a mom. I don't have a lot of time, but I want to be able to use this money to pay off debt. I want to have a bucket that makes pay off debt easy. I want to have a bucket and infrastructure in my life and in my business that helps me to build wealth. I don't want to take another dollar from my daughter and my son's future to go towards mistakes that I have made financially. I will do whatever it takes to set myself up so I don't take another dollar from their future and put it towards my financial mistakes. And that was when I created my money infrastructure. So on the masterclass, I'm going to be showing you exactly what that infrastructure looks like. I do use a budgeting app that I'm obsessed with that you've heard me already talk about several times, called You Need a Budget. I was using You Need a Budget though 2 years before I paid off debt and saved money. And there were some tweaks that I had to make that I'll be talking about in the masterclass, because I had all of these things that I was coming to the budgeting app with that you probably are dealing with too, whether it's mindset issues, beliefs around money, and then also just the strategy of how I was using it was not rewarding to me. I'm going to talk about the strategies I put in place using You Need a Budget, and then also talking about the beliefs and the ideas and the thoughts and the way I had to think as this brand new mom who paid off debt and saved money. So I'll be talking about that live in the masterclass. So for me, it's really important that as a business owner, not only do I do the things that will take care of me to build wealth, but also that I'm able to do it while still enjoying my life. And that is what I want for you to hear today, is that 1, you can pay off debt with fluctuating income. 2, there are infrastructures and systems built for entrepreneurs. We just have to be taught how to use them in a different way than other people. And that 3, that paying off debt doesn't mean restriction. I am a person who is like, put my oxygen on mask first. I will not be a martyr to money. I will not be someone who always feels like I have to give everything over to money. I have to work very hard for money. It's just always been, I get to be treated first. And I know that's what will get me to a better relationship with money. If I was a martyr to money, I would have not have stayed on this path, or maybe I would have done it very quickly and burnt out and then got right back into debt. So for me, it's about really understanding that this journey gets to be enjoyable. It gets to be fun. It gets to be like feeling as good as a bubble bath. Like it gets to feel as good as getting a massage. It gets to be enjoyable, right? Because like this is my life. And if I'm going to be spending 16 months paying off debt, that's 16 months of my daughter's first couple months of her life, right? That ended up being, oh, it was right before my son was born. But it's like, my pregnant time with my son, right? Those are very important moments in life. And imagine if I was just miserable the whole time. I would have missed out on those couple months with my daughter, finding the joy and the fun in that. And then also the joy and the fun being pregnant with a boy for the first time. So for me, it's really important that your debt payoff journey also is fun and enjoyable. I'll be talking about that more in some more podcasts, but for right now, come to the masterclass if you are interested. And I will talk about what that actually looks like as an entrepreneur to enjoy the debt payoff journey. I'm so sorry this whole time the sun has just been in my face, but I'm taking it. It is winter in New Jersey, and I better get all the sun I can get right now. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast episode. I will be back with one with a little bit better lighting. But, anyways, come to the masterclass. You, as a business owner, have the most potential to build wealth right now. So get out of here with your BS excuses, fluctuating income. If you don't know how to do it, of course, come to the masterclass. I'll teach you how. All right, everybody. See you soon. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.